Please visit the sponsor. The 15th of January 2019. Everyone knows about clipboard Nazis. Oh dear, I used one of the forbidden N-words, did I? Anyway, these are people who, through endless sucking up and bootlicking, have finally reached positions of power and authority over others. They revel in the ability to create rules and enforce them, often simply because they can. Their motto in life is usually, "I'm not happy until you're not happy." They abound in modern society but are most often found in the dark halls of local government or in the back rooms of central government agencies that have allegedly been created to ensure our safety. About Christmas time, Canada saw a perfect example of these overzealous bureaucrats and their desire to make everyone's life a misery. The government agency concerned is Transport Canada, and the rules, regulations are the new 2019 RPAS drone rules. Browsing through the gazetted rules is like the notes for some dystopian movie or novel and makes scary reading for anyone who might be subject to them. Like everything in life, there are good elements and there are bad elements, so I summed up both in this recent video. Clearly, these new rules have been written by a person or persons with little actual experience of the field they're attempting to regulate. This is not at all uncommon within government regulation and explains why so many of the rules are either silly or borderline insane. These rules apply to any and all model aircraft and drones weighing between 250 grams and 20 kilograms in Canada. The good and sensible things are that you can't fly over 122 meters, 400 feet, above the ground, you can't endanger people or property, etc. All standard fare and represent commonality with other countries' regulations. However, some of the lunacy, especially when you consider that these rules apply to small model aircraft and toy-grade drones as well, include, every flight must be logged, time, date, persons, etc. Flight logs must be kept for a minimum of 12 months. Every modification, repair, alteration, crash must be logged. Maintenance logs must be kept for 24 months. Any craft written in off by crash must be reported to the minister in writing. Any craft lost must be reported to the minister in writing. No flying within 12 hours of consuming any alcohol. No flying any craft with snow or frost on it. All persons must sit and pass a license to fly. $10 each, and every craft must be registered with Transport Canada. $5 per each, and a whole lot more. Seriously. Do they even have the remotest clue what they're dealing with here? Personally, I can't wait for the minister to be inundated with emails and letters from people flying toy-grade drones and models who have crashed them or had to replace a propeller or battery or whatever. I really think they've opened a Pandora's box here. As for the alcohol thing, it's crazy that the bottle-to-throttle withholding period for manned flight is just 8 hours, but for flying a toy it's 12 hours. And, as I point out in my video, you could legally drive down to a local bar, have a beer, and drive home, but if you then got out your toy drone and flew it in the backyard, you'd be risking a $1,000 fine. Obviously, much of the new drone regulation in Canada is simply a cut and paste from the manned aviation regulations with scant regard for whether it is really justified or even relevant. If this is the caliber of regulation making in Canada, I shudder to think what other crazy restrictions or requirements they have in other aspects of governance. Fortunately, here in New Zealand, we're a little better off in respect to our unmanned aviation regulations. However, there is a very strong push from commercial and political groups to change that and make us as ludicrous as Canada. Sadly, I don't think that CAA New Zealand has the balls to stand up to these pressures, so we'll probably end up with something very similar. So much for the innocent fun that kids used to be able to have with model aircraft. Oh yes, Canada, the minimum age for unsupervised use of a model aircraft has now been set at 14. Idiots. Please visit the sponsor. Have your say in the Aardvark forums. Permalink to this column.